What's up, guys? Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. So we have some tremendous storylines coming into the NBA season. It's becoming one of my favorite points of the year going into the NBA playoffs. And we have, full-blown tanking going on. We have hard seeding races. Denver and Minnesota going at it for that 8 hole. Utah and Portland battling for the 3 seed. So it's in my San Antonio Spurs and many of us in between, not sure where we're going to fall tonight. I know we have to play the Pelicans to close out. So it's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces going on. But the thing I'm kind of simmering on, if you will, is the Russell Westbrook starting line. So for those of you who don't know, he needs 16 rebounds tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies to average his second consecutive triple-double for an entire NBA season. And, as we all know, he won the MVP last year solely because of the fact that he averaged a triple-double. I did not agree with it. I thought it should have been either James Harden or Kawhi Leonard. I thought Russell was below average defensively last year. He shot 42%. I believe he set the NBA record for most turnovers. And his team didn't even win 50 games. But, the media and NBA pundits have changed their tune. And if he averages a triple-double, he's basically called their bluff again. And he's not even in the MVP conversation. So that alone justifies that he shouldn't have been the MVP last year, because triple-doubles, it's a fun statistic, but it's not something to wrap everything in terms of value and efficiency around, because he really wasn't that efficient. He accumulated volume statistics. Not taking away from Russell as a player, but the reason why I'm hard on him is because he's very frustrating, because I know his talent and ability and what he's capable of. Probably the most frustrating player for me to watch since Vince Carter, and I was a huge North Carolina fan, and Vince's frustration, I might do another video on that, but that's for a whole separate set of reasons. My frustration with Russ is, I know he wants to win, but he wants to win in the context of his narrative and his stats and whatnot. And Shannon and Skip Bayless covered this yesterday on Undisputed, and basically asked the question, is Russell Westbrook a stat chaser? And my answer to that is unequivocally yes. But I'm not going to sit up here and say he doesn't want to win. And case in point is Houston. The Houston game on Saturday night, I watched that game in its entirety. And one of the things I noticed, especially for the entire fourth quarter, Russell Westbrook decided to pick it up on the defensive end. I mentioned earlier that he was below average defensively last year, and he's been okay defensively this year. He kind of cherry picks at times and plays off the ball, and we all understandably know he conserves a lot of his energy so he can do what he needs to do offensively. But one of the things I saw from a competitive standpoint was him decide to take on James Harden one-on-one, person who's probably going to be the MVP. Some will say LeBron, but he took on James Harden one-on-one and gave him fits. First of all, he knows him. Obviously, they spent a lot of time together in OKC. And Russell, athletically, shouldn't really have a peer at his position when it comes to guarding the other person because of his athleticism. I remember John Thompson once said, you can't be athletic offensively and then not athletic on the defensive end. Like, it should go both ways. And I understand energy exertion and all that type of stuff. But one of the things, and this goes back to when I saw Russell come out of UCLA, I think he should, year in, year out, be one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. I think he's too busy and too caught up trying to chase his peers from a shooting perspective and trying to outstat these guys, whether it's a Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, John Wall. It's a golden age of point guards right now, and everyone's trying to make their historical footprint, which is why Kyrie made the trade. He's also looking at his peers. But my frustration with Russell is that you're not playing to your strengths. Defensively should be one of your strengths. And you prove that against Houston. And yes, he kind of scaled it back offensively from an energy standpoint, and he let Paul George kind of carry that load. He let Carmelo get in a rhythm instead of dictating when they get to shoot and allowing the offense to flow a little bit better. Were his stats against that night great? No, but they beat the best team in the league because of what he decided to do and initiate on the defensive end and set the tone with his energy. He has an energy and a fire that I've seen, maybe I've never seen before, to be honest with you, in terms of his competitiveness and the combination of his just raw athleticism. But he bundles that, in the wrong way, in my opinion. And the fault of this goes to the Thunder organization. I know that a big part of this was their campaign from the rebounds and trying to get him the triple-double last year. The coaching staff has never been in place in OKC, whether going back to Scott Brooks, now Billy Donovan. They never made the right switch that Golden State made, going from Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr. They should have done that when they had their young nucleus, and they missed their window. But going back to Russell, I cannot stress enough how frustrating it is to see him shoot so many threes. He's shooting less than 30% this year and averaging over 4+ attempts per game. It's unbelievably frustrating. Again, seeing a player not play to his strengths. He's one of the best mid-range shooters in the game. It's his mid-range pull-up, money. Going from the wings and shooting off the glass, money. Those are his shots. And then obviously in conjunction with him having athleticism to get to the rim at will, drive and dish. Why he's shooting pull-up 30-footers and all this, it's because he's trying to keep up with his peers. Because Damian Lillard and Steph, they're elite shooters, but they're elite shooters because they don't have Russ's athleticism the way he does. So you have to, to quote LeVar Ball, you got to stay in your lane sometimes and understanding playing to your strengths. I think the three-point thing and just the lack of defensive intensity would help him with his turnovers and focus and make him a winner and guys wanting to play with him. And we'll see. There's going to be a referendum on all of them, just seeing if Paul George decides to stay. I mean, look at Victor Oladipo going to Indiana this year. He was basically non-existent. Now he's probably going to win Most Improved Player. He's averaging over 23 points a game, leading Indiana to the playoffs. But he couldn't even get the ball in Oklahoma City because they had a different agenda, and Russell spearheaded this. And we'll see tonight. 16 rebounds. I know, it's one of those things where, from a basketball perspective and trying to do what's better, you're playing a Memphis team that's obviously tanking. You should, get guys involved, maybe play 20, 25 minutes and blow them out of the water. But I know, because I've seen this earlier in the year, that Russell's going to stay in the game and fight for rebounds and do everything he needs to do to get those 16 boards. He's going to come flying in there and tell Steven Adams to concede boards off the free throw line and all sorts of nonsense to chase a stat, when you really should be focused on how can we upset whoever we're going to play in the first round, and how can I lock in defensively to set the tone to charge up the rest of my team, and how can I get my guys going? How can I get Paul George going the way he was in the Eastern Conference semifinals a few years ago, even last year against LeBron in the first round? How can I get that level of production out of him? Because Russell can get a shot in his offense anytime he wants. He has that level of talent. But that I just wanted to share those thoughts and my frustration, just going off the conversation a lot of people have been talking about. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to chase those 16 rebounds tonight. We'll see. I'll record my reaction and obviously come back with more playoff video content. But as always, thank you guys for watching, supporting the channel. Please continue to like, share, subscribe. I love to hear feedback. I love to get in to these conversations with you guys as always. Thank you.